Thank you very much, guys. We are here. It's me, Zombie Grub, and Rotterdam, the PvP specialist. Really excited to bring you this epic North America versus European PvP. We're starting on Acropolis in the top left. Cheer for them, North Americans. I know you're out there in that crowd. It is the Blue Protoss, Astrea.
Like Johan said, the man with the coolest name in the entire scene, Max Angel. I would marry you, Max Angel, for that name. In the right bottom side of Acropolis, we're looking at the main base of a Ukrainian Protoss representing Clash. It is Hellraiser. I think this is going to be a really fun one, Jazz. I really see these guys as pretty evenly matched. I absolutely do believe that Astrea is at the very top of the North American scene. He may not be Neep, but nobody is Neep in NA. But when you exclude a Neep, a Special, and a Scarlet, Astrea is probably the first player on that list for me. Like, he really is way, way up there. I think he's incredibly good. But Hellraiser is also someone who has been... maybe consistent is not the right word, but he's absolutely always knocking on the door of that top 16. And I feel like he's a regular in the round of 24 by now. So to me, this really seems like, okay, we know how deep the European scene is. You know, somebody who's like a top 16-ish, top 24 player against maybe a top 5 player of NA. This is going to be interesting, man. There
are so many interesting storylines here. I mean, obviously the two regions fighting against each other, but also Astrea is coming off basically a hot streak of being really good at PvP. He defeated Trap and Zest recently. He was in Korea training, and he says that it really did help him. He's a kind of an odd player, and that seems to actually work for him quite well. Then you have a Hellraiser in the European region where you have a lot of like these up-and-coming Protosses, right? So he's actually fighting, brawling it out amongst the other Protosses, like Goblin comes to mind, right? To be like the next best, right, with Showtime and Hearthstone, all of them. And then you have them clash, and it's like, well, what actually is going to happen here? Because I think when you compare those two, but they haven't played, I think the last time they played was like 2 years ago. What does it actually look like when these two, like up-and-comer versus like up-and-comer of two different regions, clash together?
Yeah, it's a mystery, especially because both of them have a pretty unique and distinctive style. So far, this is a very standard opening, so nothing weird is happening yet. But in general, I definitely see Hellraiser as one of those slightly different Protoss in the European scenes. He likes Colossus in this matchup. He also likes Phoenixes. Of course, he'll proxy. And Astrea, guys, Astrea is all over the place. I remember at the beginning of this year, I had a lot of fun watching you cover all those games of WCS Winter NA, and I was actually most looking forward to every single game of Astrea because he had the most unique, weird, and crazy builds out there. And that was kind of like his coming out party, right? He did really good in Winter. He had an amazing run, made it through group after group, and then in the end, in that ultimate knockout bracket, I think he took top 4 or top 5. He was so damn fun to watch, and that's why I'm extra excited for this match because I feel like you're looking at two guys that absolutely bring their own flavor to this matchup.
Absolutely, and I believe he also had his own like couple of Colossus builds that were even like all in on 2 bases, like very weird stuff. And it seems that like his time in Korea, like the benefits of being that weird player has just like, you know, he wants to be the weird player. It's been working for him. So is Hellraiser going to have to adapt to that? Now, so far we do have 2 normal looking openers, actually quite normal, as they both head into a Nexus and a Robo.
This is way too normal for me. This is not what I signed up for. When I think of Astrea Hellraiser, this is like Hearthstone Showtime, okay? That's how these nerds open up. And you're like, yeah, sentries, defensive, Robo, defensive, it's fine. But this is definitely more normal than I expected it to be. I like these 2 random adepts. I mean, these are adepts you just don't really expect. But if Astrea can sneak them to the other side of the map, I mean, if these guys suddenly show up in the main base, they can get 4 or 5 probes so quickly, and that really hurts. I mean, Hellraiser's actually doing the same thing. Look at these nerds, they're playing the exact same strat.
They're going to meet each other? I mean, they definitely saw each other. So the question is, yeah, do you chase them? And Hellraiser is definitely chasing.
You know, I would always chase if I'm Hellraiser, because his adepts look way cooler, which means they're stronger.
That was kind of an odd... Okay, so Astrea tried to... He wanted to take the battle, but get the first shot, I guess. So he kind of like stutter step and then realized maybe I can take the smoke screen, but it didn't really work out that way. And the chase will inevitably end with an adept dying here. Oh, good attempt to try and soak that shot, but not going to work. A tiny part of the battle, though. Behind this, we do have Warp Prisms for both sides and a faster Twilight Council for Hellraiser.
Told you, Jess, those adepts look way cooler. That means they always win the battle.
Of course.
Skins matters, guys. Pick up that war chest today, okay?
I said, I was like, isn't it unfair, though? Because now we have, you know, Beautiful Gameheart choosing the skins for them. So, like, they don't even know that they have the cooler skins.
Shh, you don't have to tell everyone.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
All right, so we've got those prisms. Prisms are obviously very feisty as well because you can then suddenly drop those adepts in the main base. Later on, you can maybe do something with immortals, but that's where things become a little bit tricky because the moment you start carrying immortals, it's very, very precious cargo and you got to be very careful. I mean, at least the plans have been revealed, right, on both sides. Wow, resonating glaives, alrighty.
Yeah, so interesting, right? We have Astrea with more adepts being shown. But he's not the one that went to that Twilight Council. He's getting his double gas of the natural. It's Hellraiser that's laying that gas. I believe only the third one gets taken, and then he's going for Resonating Glaive's attack. So Astrea is going to want to figure this out. Now, the Warp Prism gives you, along with Lucent Phoenix, an option to scout. He's going to see the gases. Is that enough to give him a hint as to what could come?
I have no idea, but I'm actually confused. What is Astrea forgetting his Twilight Council or something? Because he's going to be floating way too much. I don't think he can really spend that gas unless he makes 1,000,000 sentries. But why on earth would you ever want to do that? These adepts are actually doing quite a bit of damage. They're doing way more than needed. That is so cool. I have actually not seen that yet.
Yeah.
He's just getting a couple of probes from the high ground here on the Acropolis. Well done. Astrea needs to do a little more. Probably he's going to settle for a sentry there. We saw him get one. Only now. Astrea's getting the Twilight and the Forge. Oh, and then lost Immortal as well. That's a Astrea Immortal if I've ever seen one. Yeah, that must have been a mistake, Jess. Look at the amount of resources Astrea has in the bank right now.
It's actually a catastrophic mistake. He's up against someone who is actually going to pressure him. He's no longer just doing the same build, right? So not only do you not have these upgrades, you also don't actually have the prep of building cannons, which can be your response to adepts, but I just don't think Astrea even knows that this is on the way. He's only just now putting more production. He's going to lose that Immortal. This is a disaster of a start, as we do have an attack on the way.
Yeah. This counterattack is really cute, and obviously is dealing damage immediately, but I don't know how Astrea holds this. He needs to get a Templar Archives, and he needs to get Archons out, but I just don't think that Hellraiser is going to give him the time to get Archons. Hellraiser is probably going to warp in a couple of adepts and then just juggle the Immortals across the force fields and most likely win the game.
I mean, it's actually taking longer than anticipated. Hellraiser losing probes, like there finally comes the adept warp in. They're actually going to shade through to that high ground. The shield batteries are going to be left alone, not really too helpful. But the adepts in the main, not doing as much damage as they thought, kind of stopped by a couple stalkers. I mean, he's making something out of what was a bad start here.
I actually feel like Hellraiser is making this a lot more complicated for himself than he should have done. He's still doing all right. He's getting 20 probes. I don't know if those adepts are still alive in the main base. He's still got way more Immortals. So I do think that the Ukrainian Protoss is fine here. Astrea forgetting about one Immortal again. Overall, just kind of a sloppy game. I mean, obviously there was a lot of stuff happening in the mid game. Hellraiser was on point. Astrea simply was not.
Yeah, I mean, the mid game miss macro in this case was pretty bad, and that's going to be what looks to be maybe even, I mean, not quite an easy victory. Astrea really is trying to micro his heart out here, trying to block the adepts, trying to make Hellraiser make awkward decisions, but that One-Eyed Templar is trying his best, man. He's like, I'm half an Archon, trust me. No, you're not.
No, he just don't have quite the same punch as an Archon does. Astrea is still trying to do whatever he can, but he's really starting to run out of units. GG is called. Hellraiser gets the first victory, but that's a kind of game where I feel like, did Hellraiser win it, or did Astrea kind of give it to him? Because that's just not supposed to happen, man. Like being a little late on your Twilight, whatever, but he was way too late.
Yeah, a lot of focus went into that adept micro, which didn't even go into his favor initially. It was only the third or fourth shade that finally found him some results. By that time, the attack was pushing. Yeah, the miss macro, and then also it felt like he scouted it early enough, I feel, with that third gas time compared to his own, but he didn't actually respond. I think it was a little bit like he was in like stall mode, right? He was like, oh, I spent too much time on those adepts. Oh no, I misrallied that Robo, the Immortal.
The second Immortal.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so his shield batteries are even late, you know? Like a lot of times we see defense against adepts, you know, by buying that time for Archons ultimately, but the defense is like tons of shield batteries, maybe some cannons if you got them. And he just didn't have anything really prepared.
One of those when it rains, it pours moments. The first thing goes wrong, and suddenly you just feel like everything that possibly can go wrong in 2 or 3 minutes of a PvP is going wrong. The adepts are not working out, the random Immortal, you're like, oh, I barely save it, and you suddenly lose the second one. And then you look at like 700 minerals, 400 gas, you're like, alrighty, let's fire up that upgrade, drop my Templar Archives. Wait a minute, I don't have a Twilight, I don't have a Forge. I mean, those are mistakes you simply cannot make on this level. I hope that game 2 is going to bring us obviously a closer game and with less like unforced errors, because even though Hellraiser obviously kept Astrea a little bit busy, I don't really think that he's forcing those mistakes upon Astrea. That's just Astrea messing up himself. I want to see them go crazy, man. I want to see the proxy Stargates, I want to see the proxy Twilights, because I know that these guys are capable of that kind of stuff, and that's really the fireworks that I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're both capable of having very strong PvP. Astrea actually was like known to be a PvP sniper for a while. His recent results have been very good for his PvP. But if it's those stage nerves, if he's still kind of getting warmed up even with Group Stage 1 already happening, then those like really critical mistakes are going to really matter at this level. So the late Twilight, late Forge, and just not really getting a strong response. You know, it was almost like he got too fancy. So either he goes like full fancy and does the weird stuff like you want, Roddy, or I want him just like actually like take a breath and just continue doing the macro and actually like get that build down. But we are going to be going into the next game right now, basically. And it is going to be on one of our new maps. It's Triton. In the bottom right, down 1. He is the blue Protoss, Astrea.
Getting some love here from our Canadians. And it's great to see on the left top side, looking at the main base of the Ukrainian, who's up 1-0, representing Clash. It is Hellraiser. He's actually been with Clash for quite some time now. He was kind of a pickup that came a bit out of nowhere, right? They used to have Hellraiser, then he had Lambo, and then was kind of just Lambo by himself, and suddenly it's like, bam, here's Hellraiser. It's like, okay, but I do really feel that he has like a steady upgoing line. Like, I don't feel like he's stagnated. I absolutely do believe that he's still growing as a player, and it's good to see him getting the confidence and faith of his organization.
There's actually so many players, it feels like, especially from the European region, that have actually been around for a very long time. So I like remember Hellraiser from like, you know, like 4 years ago or something. And it was one of those like, yeah, okay, maybe he'll like, you know, get better. And it's been a slow process overall, but definitely a steady one, as he has come here in the consistent round of 24, certainly possible again here at Fall. We do have Astrea sending this probe out, looking for perhaps a hidden probe at this point, I guess it would be, unless it was something really absurd. These guys were talking, I caught them right before they got up on stage. These guys were talking about this like absurd build that happens occasionally. It's proxy 2 gateways with a proxy forge or something.
Yeah.
But that's not actually good, is it? But no, they're well aware that they both can do some weird stuff, and they both are sitting on those pylons, but only one leaves the probe with it.
I think Hellraiser is going to open up Stargate here. I feel like that is a Stargate. I kind of would have liked to see him build that pylon slightly above that side blocker. If Mapu, our lovely observer, like, wouldn't it make a lot more sense to build it slightly above that side blocker?
Rush.
I mean, this is still like, what is this?
Okay, well, you know.
Yeah, all right, guys. Not every proxy is very well hidden, but we'll see. Astrea actually got another probe here as well, or if that's the initial probe that just went for a little circle. Yeah, just went for a little detour.
Okay, all right.
Maybe he's gonna drop a Twilight, cheeky Twilight.
I mean, that's...
I feel like this probe, by the way, like, I actually don't like this anymore. I feel like scouting this late when the units are about to pop, if I'm playing right now, I'll be like, hey, I'm getting proxied. This is literally the timing of being proxied. Because like normally a probe does not show up and the 2 gateway units are literally coming out of your gateway. So Astrea, if he wasn't sure yet, he's damn sure after seeing it. He knows that he's going up against a Stargate. I am very curious to see how he's going to respond.
Yeah. Well, 2 adepts are going to give him some trouble, so it is going to be either a multi-pronged attack, or potentially you could use them all together if you saw an opportunity. But since Astrea knows what's on the way, even scouting the 2 adepts right there, he should have consolidated forces. Obviously, he's going to delay that Nexus a little bit. There's going to be another pylon, perhaps. Blink is the choice from that Twilight Council, which is hidden, guys. So the Oracle's not going to be able to scout that despite getting into the main base.
Yep. Also, they're both expanding, so that's good to see. I kind of like it. I'd love to see Astrea Chrono Boost Blink once or twice. It doesn't really make sense to be focusing too much on workers right now, unless he's guaranteed that he's going to end up losing a bunch. But I feel like with the defensive setup, he really shouldn't. Here comes that Oracle first, second. No, a little bit of miscontrol there. That's a lot of damage on that Oracle already.
Ooh, that was really scary. I thought there was going to be another shot towards the end there.
Oh, pay attention, pay attention.
Is he paying attention? And he definitely is. 4 adepts.
He can kill it, though. Yeah, but then it gets risky, right? You
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And of course, they can't really punish the Nexus, even though there's nothing much to defend it, not enough damage there. Hussein Phoenix of Astrea is going to get the full scout follow-up. And what do you think he's going to do with this Blink? It's actually really interesting to see Blink so quickly, and it was hidden.
I mean, I actually think that you almost need it against double Oracle, otherwise you're just going to have a very tough time. These guys are all so damn good with their Oracles that if you don't have Blink, it's just like, you're just kind of running, but you can basically never move out, you can never really catch one. So I think it's just a defensive Blink at first, and I really think that Astrea can actually focus on his own economy for quite some time. And this is just the kind of traditional game I'd like to see Blink into charge. I know a lot of these nerds, they love the Resident resonating glaives right now, and that's fine and all, but I don't know if you want to take this fight. The Oracles are going to show up as well, but it's still Stalkers. Oracle goes down. I mean, I don't know if I like these trades out of Hellraiser, though.
Geez, he almost lost a second Oracle. Would not have been worth it. Yeah, it's actually very interesting. So many Adepts that are usually more so looking for those probes, find a couple Stalkers, are blocked once again. So they're not finding the probes, and they're not actually really messing up Astrea that much, which is actually something we really should be paying attention to, considering last game, if he's actually missing strides for his macro. But, Hellraiser has scouted no technology, right? So that in itself is some type of scout. With the number of Stalkers that have been revealed, do you think he knows his blink?
Exactly.
Okay.
Almost nobody makes that many Stalkers if you don't want to go blink. I mean, that'd just be kind of weird, unless you really want to show up with a random Archon Zealot timing attack. Like, it happens sometimes, don't get me wrong, but I do think that Hellraiser is absolutely expecting blinking. Whoa, he was just kind of shooting at his own Stalker there. That's kind of sad. I don't think that Stalker deserved that at all, Jess.
I don't know. He was
No,
on
it
the
did
front
not.
lines.
The
So.
Stalker looks like a lovely, good Stalker, okay? It's a beautiful skin, nothing wrong with that.
Is this the brand new skin?
Yeah, that's really cool, actually.
Wow. Yeah, the Immortal's actually dead. It's like a sarcophagus. that's the lore.
Okay.
Yeah. No. All right. So taking out the proxy pylon is kind of useful. I mean, that's where all the Adepts came from. But
I'm kind of sad to see no charge yet out of Astrea. I feel like it's so cheap, I just don't see any reason not to get charge. Especially since Blink has been done for quite some time. I feel having much earlier charge actually gives you a lot of potential to move out. And then you don't even have to all in, but you can at least keep your opponent on 2 bases while you're going up to 3 bases. So why are you not getting charged, my friend?
I feel like it's been a while since I've seen Blink versus Blink games, man.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Also really weird because like what kind of timing is Hellraiser trying to hit here?
Well, that's what you were here for. Don't ask me.
Yeah, well, it's just, it doesn't really add up.
This, yes. It's got to be going into Robo Bay, right? Like, they both are going to go Disruptors. This is actually like 2 years ago. We've all like flown back into the past. No, there's actually more gateways coming down for Hellraiser. Never mind. But still, 1 Disruptor versus 1 potential timing with +1 blink and with 5-6 gateways. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just kind of confused. Obviously, I think Astrea is going to be a little bit confused about this as well. Hellraiser does go up to 3 Immortals, so those are going to pack one hell of a punch against the Stalkers of Astrea, but I really think you should always get charged, just because it's so cheap. I'm not even saying that he needs to start warping in 12 Zealots right now. It's just such a nice upgrade to have, especially if like the Blink against Blink fight is getting like somewhat close, and at one point all the Stalkers are injured. If you then storm forward with 10 Zealots suddenly, they always have to retreat, and you can buy yourself so much time for a shield battery or whatever. I just don't see any reason not to get it. But Astrea is going for Disruptors, and obviously Disruptors and Zealots, they work together kind of awkward, right? Because you shoot the Purification Nova forward, and then the Zealots are like, all right, here we go! And then you kill your own Zealots, and you don't want to do that. But it's still so cheap, Jess, and he's been floating resources all along.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not like him also going double Robo Disruptors, so he probably could have afforded it. He might actually regret not getting it, as he's going to be potentially up against this push. Now, he's going to buy a lot of time. He does have an Observer. He could think about trying to go into that high ground. They're going to decide against it. As long as he's buying time, he's going to have like 2 Disruptors, it looks like, maybe even 3.
I think Astrea is going to be so shocked when he sees the amount of Stalkers from Hellraiser that are about to show up. Hellraiser needs to build pylons, by the way. Look at that. He's already at 800 minerals in the bank and no pylon on the way. That's bad news, Bear. Hellraiser now fires up +2, a couple pylons and charge. But yeah, that's not the way you want to start your move out.
Oh, wow. That's that was quite a bad supply block. Astrea is actually going to match this here. Has Hellraiser seen the Disruptors? So, of course, he didn't see the Robo Bay because that was hidden.
Yeah.
So is he thinking that his opponent's doing something similar to him? He's seen the amount of Stalkers right now. I don't believe he's seen the Disruptor.
Can you believe that he's flying around with 2 Immortals in the prison? Oh, Disruptor on the left. This is going to be cool. Dodge this. And the sentry. Wow, that's actually a really decent shot. Gets 3 sentries and does a lot of damage to those 2 Immortals. But now Hellraiser also knows what he's going up against. And 1 more Disruptor is about to show up. But he's still got his Disruptor. He blinks forward. He gets it. Can he get the other one as well? No, he does not. That's a big shot.
Yeah, that was an amazing shot from that 3rd Disruptor. That 3rd Disruptor actually being really key in his victory. Probes have to be pulled. The Immortals are being shot down, but the remaining Stalkers, I guess the last Disruptor, the one that got the first shot, actually died, so it can't come back and help, but it doesn't look like Astrea needs it. He only loses 5 probes. A very smart pullback, but I guess meanwhile, the stasis wards in the main base, this one, amazing, double the last one, getting a ton of lost mining there, and they all actually are kind of going to be able to come out of it, I suppose. I mean, Astrea has a third Nexus, though. He's about to have a Dark Shrine, which, of course, is scouted, but can provide Archons if he thinks he needs them, but also just complexity, right? Like, always the potential of a backstab.
I mean, if Astrea gets a cancel on this Nexus, that'd be very big, but I don't think he's supposed to get it there. Obviously, that worked out very well for Astrea. That final disruptor shot, that was the money shot. That was the one he was hoping for, even though that first one was really good as well. It's not just the sentries, as he gets a couple of probes here. It's the fact that he activated 2 of the barriers and did so much damage, right? That made it so much more doable to kill those 2 out of 3 immortals, and then he only had to suddenly deal with 1 immortal. But I'm still not sure if I'm truly in love with Astrea's position, though. Like, I think he's a little bit ahead, but he's going to be down an upgrade. Worker-wise, it's very close. And those Zealots, man, those Zealots can come in very, very gnarly.
Yeah, the one thing we didn't mention was that Hellraiser, behind that push, was getting that +2, right? And it is done. So it's almost an entire upgrade ahead, but he doesn't really have the steam to go for another follow-up that quickly. So it looks like that potentially might not matter. Astrea might be able to get his own +2, and plus there's always that whole, like, well, disruptors don't need upgrades, right? So, but this has been a much, well, you wanted that weird game, right? And you finally got it.
No,
so
absolutely.
Very interesting game. Hellraiser also adding on that Dark Shrine.
Oh.
We might see both of them start adding on sack defense. Actually, there it goes.
Yeah, it should be, right? Because there's a Dark Shrine going up on either side, and that pylon is so damn close. He could warp in a DT at any given moment and be very, very annoying with it. It's really quite fun. Astrea has to be aware of the fact that that base is there, right? He knows, right? Not crazy?
I mean, he doesn't actually see it.
But
he doesn't even see the mining. But
that's actually kind of insane. He's warping in DTs, I think, on the left side with his warp prism. Now he warps in there, and now he's going to see the Nexus. And that's going to be a really annoying Dark Templar to deal with, even though the army is quite nearby. But he's also going to hit the main. So this is always kind of what you want to do with DTs, right? Oh, he's going to send a DT. He's going to hit all 3 bases at once with DTs. Let's see how it plays out.
well, this cannon is on the way. 1DT cannot take that on, so is this going to be a little mistimed? It's about to hit. DT going to the natural main is going to be hit by the warp prism. And actually, it sees the army move away, so perfect timing there for Astrea. Starts the third base. Natural does have that cannon, so not a big deal there. And the main looks like it is being responded to pretty quickly with an observer. Not as bad as it could have been. 7 probes to the third.
Actually kind of impressed. I mean, obviously having a couple cannons up makes your life a little bit easier. Astrea's finally getting charged, by the way. And he's getting 3 more gateways now as well. Can we take a look at the gateway count real quick, Mapu? Oh, that immortal took a lot of damage. So it was 7 against 6. All right, and now it's going to be 9 gates. So Astrea, obviously, with 9 gates and a big army, he does find a random disruptor, Hellraiser, that is. Blinks forward, picks it off. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right for Hellraiser before. Not like in love with it, but I thought it was like, it's quite playable. Now I don't like it that much anymore. He's getting double Stargate, by the way. As an answer against these disruptors. Ooh, that was close.
I mean, Astrea is trying to get those, like, surprise. Whoops,
that's good.
surprise.
Wow.
That is a nice pickoff of the Warp Prism. DT is going to run into the detection range, and that's that. But yeah, double Stargate here from Hellraiser. Of course, if you don't go into your own disruptors and you don't just end the game before there's a decent amount of them, it can be hard to try and go into disruptors yourself. So the response with Phoenix to lift up those disruptors, cancel the shots, take them out of the equation can be very effective.
Yeah, but I mean, Astrea is going to have +3 Blink Stalkers to deal with that. And I do not believe that 2 or 4 Phoenixes is going to save the day here. I think you're going to really need to make like 6 or 8. But that is such a massive investment that, I mean, I am a Phoenix lover, guys. I'm not afraid to admit it. But I just don't know if this is the right moment to build all those Phoenixes. Yes, they're going to be good against the Disruptors, but they won't have any impact besides that. And the Disruptors is not the only scary thing about the army of Astrea anymore. That army is about to be bigger. It's about to be better as well because of the upgrades. So I just don't know if this is the time for the Phoenix.
It's going to be really clutch. I think he's going to have to buy time, but Astrea has, I believe, also built those static defenses, so not much time to be bought. He's also prematurely putting them down with this 4th base. It'll certainly be a nasty attack with that +3. He's gearing up for it.
Yeah.
He's tagging these units whenever possible. Actually, Hellraiser a little late to that blink and just charge, almost guaranteeing that first shot. This is going to be the fight, and there's going to be 2 Phoenix. That's it.
No, that's not going to be enough. Is there a Warp Prism here for Astrea? Because that is very important. I don't think you really want to take a game-ending fight. He's got one, and yes, it is with the army. It's a little bit bruised up, but I guess if you keep it far enough in the back, you are going to be okay there. I think Hellraiser is just hoping for a miraculous engagement and somehow not take too much damage of those disruptors, but yeah, that is a lot easier said than done because I look at his army and I can't even imagine a good engagement for Hellraiser, so I have no idea how he's supposed to do it. Maybe sniping the prism is the first move.
Yeah,
I think if you snipe the
maybe.
prism, there is...
Starting off awkwardly, Hellraiser lost sight of the army when his observer was sniped, so he goes forward, loses control of his third
Oh,
base.
he can wipe in DTs. He just sniped the observer.
Oh, that's actually a really good point, as he actually preemptively did that. This might be what forces Astrea's retreat. Now, he can't technically hit them with the disruptors, but that'd be awfully dangerous.
Wow,
Once
he's
picked
doing
up,
so
Circus picked
good.
up.
Hellraiser actually did so good there. I don't know if it's enough, because I still feel the army of Astrea is stronger, but I am so impressed with the way Hellraiser did all of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the DTs were not enough as more Zealots come crashing in. I mean, they're still getting shots off. They're actually severely injured, looks like from the Archon splash, I suppose.
Yeah.
The War Prism is going to be picked off as well. Astrea
Wow.
actually dipping down in supply equally as much towards the end here. One more disruptor goes down, but the big shots on the Immortals unfortunately loses the disruptors. Third base went down. Astrea is on 4 bases, and he is reinforcing.
Yeah, Hellraiser just needs to win the game with his army, and I don't know if that's doable, but I must say, one hell of an effort, man. A couple of defensive Archons being wiped in now. Astrea should be just a little too rich. I think he's got like 11 gateways or something like that. He's going to shoot forward one more Purification Nova, and that is going to be a GG. That was a fun one. Astrea ties it up.
That was a very fun game. The surprise twist of the hidden Twilight Council and then also the hidden Robotics Bay with the clutch third disruptor coming into play.
Yeah.
That was the fun PvP we wanted. I mean, a little bit like, you know, going back to the past with the Blink Stalker disruptor, so it's not like the weirdest thing we've ever seen. Both of them playing off each other. That was a delight to watch.
And I must say, very impressive early game defense by Astrea. It may look easy to build a couple stalkers and be like, yeah, just make sure you don't lose too many probes. But guys, if you go up against somebody who's as good as Hellraiser, and he opens up with 2 oracles and 4 or 5 adepts, and you can survive that phase while only losing, like, what was it, 2 or 3 probes in the end? And yeah, he lost 2 stalkers, but who cares about losing 2 stalkers? You don't want to fall 6 or 7 probes behind, and I think Astrea did a phenomenal job in making sure that did not happen.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about that attack, is that it's almost always like, wow, you lost a lot of probes, and maybe the counter can do something, but it was the opposite in that one. It was like literally 2 probes died in the entire first 4 minutes or whatever, and then it was the stalkers that died, but that was okay because they actually pushed back the army, and adepts, you know, get more useless with time.
That is totally okay. You would much rather lose a stalker or 2 than losing 5 probes, especially because that's kind of the phase in the game where that natural is about to finish up, and you really want to see that economy spiral up. You want to saturate both mineral lines, so losing probes there is so painful. And if those oracles survive, then you can't really counterattack either, right? Because then you move out, you lose more probes, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, I'm super all in. And I didn't want to be all in at all, so very well done by this man, who is spawning in the right bottom side of Thunderbird, hailing from America. It is Astrea.
And in the top left, as the red Protoss from Europe, he is Hellraiser. Namaste to you.
Yeah, you actually recently went to Japan, right?
I did, yeah, for about a week.
Did you hang out with Mapu?
I did not. So you know, I was a fool, and I thought that, you know, Japan was like not big. No, actually, I thought he was in Tokyo just for some reason. I guess I assume everyone's in Tokyo. He's actually on the complete opposite side of Japan. So no, we did not get to hang out. But now he's here, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to hang out. He's observing.
Did you go to the Pokemon store?
Of course I did. Yeah, I went to the main Pokemon Center.
Is it cool?
It's insane, man. Like, there's so much stuff. There's like a beach theme going on, and then the line like wrapped around the store and then outside the store. So we did the old, like, you know, one person stands there, everyone else, you know, boards up on Pokemon stuff. It was great.
That actually sounds really fun.
It was, yeah.
Never been. I think we need to do a WCS Tokyo one day, guys. Like,
yeah,
that'd be amazing. All I want to do is go to the statue of Hachiko. That's like my life mission, and I've never made it out there.
It's the first thing you asked me, if I did that when I came back.
I could not see any other reason to ever go to Tokyo other than to visit the statue.
Well, I saw a lot of Shibas, like in general, so that's the other reason.
I'm so jelly. Anyway, let's talk about PvP. So far, I think this series kind of living up to the expectations. I know it's been kind of bland commentary by me. I'm like, Stefano, you too much. I was like, I really think it's going to be evenly matched, but it was. And then this one, I'm like, to me, this is also really evenly matched. And normally, I like to voice my opinions. I really don't mind calling somebody a heavy favorite or a heavy underdog, but I just looked at those first 2 matches on stage, and I'm like, yeah, this can really go either way. Maybe slight edge Utermo, and here I would give slight edge maybe to Hellraiser, but I really don't even think that's fair to Astrea. I think these guys are very close in skill, and I think so far these games are showing that.
I mean, they're very entertaining, and we have another difference here for the third game. Astrea going for the non-wall off. I mean, he still went 2 gateways, but not bothering to wall off. It is.
Love it.
I still think this is, I think, the longest one. Longest map rush distance, but they're both going to go for Stargates. They're both going to add some Adepts, but I believe Astrea went for 2 Stalkers first, which are looking for Adepts.
Yes, the first one is about to find it. It's going to get a couple shots up, and I think if you're Hellraiser, you don't commit now anymore. I think that'd be a little bit crazy. Okay, I don't like actually that Astrea brought the second Stalker, because now I would absolutely let the Shade go in. Yes, well done. I mean, I know that the Adepts are about to show up. Wow, that's a good scout by Hellraiser. That is a really good scout, and he's going to get into the main base. He gets the first probe. He's going to probably get 2 more probes. I would absolutely let this finish up. And Hellraiser agrees with me. What an excellent start here for Hellraiser. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, oh man, that was so awkward. 4 probes go down. More Stalkers are on the way.
The scout is so big.
Yeah. The scout was huge. Like, I mean, I think Astrea was hoping that the typical Adept Shade is like from just like outside the natural into the main directly, trying to get them to not get the wall off. Or in this case, there just wasn't a wall off. But because they ended up shading into the natural, they checked it.
I must say, it's pretty crazy to see Hellraiser, despite the fact that he scouted a Stargate, he's actually opening up with an Oracle. But this can still work out if you can avoid the Phoenix. The Phoenix is getting awfully close towards that Oracle, though. It somehow barely avoided it. And Astrea is in a world of trouble because there is no wall off, there is no shield battery. Okay, the Oracle is about to bring the pain train. One-way ticket to Value Town for this Oracle, and Astrea is in so much trouble. Well, he's supposed to be in so much trouble, guys.
Yeah, well, he still is. I mean, 5 probes have already gone down to the Adepts. He's not going to be able to get that last one, so it's going to get another shot, and the Oracle gets away.
I would always suicide my Oracle there, because it's very likely that the Oracle is... Oh, no, this is really bad news. He's going to lose that Phoenix flight because there is a shield battery. Jeez. What? What are you doing, Hellraiser? You can never lose that fight. Okay, I guess he was chasing down the Oracle. I mean, this is just really sick. Astrea's up in supply. I have no idea why and in what exactly, but I guess Hellraiser threw away a lot of Adepts. But
yes,
I mean, it feels like a disastrous game.
It is if Astrea can't push any advantage. Wait, that was... Oh.
Yeah, right. He just like, maybe he just felt so safe. He's like,
yeah, all right.
Wow, actually, that's a lot of Stalkers. Oh, excuse me, Phoenix, that is.
Yeah. Well, that's the other reason why he had so much army supply. He actually continued making Phoenix, which are going to dominate the field here. They're going to be able to pick off probes, consistently versus that upfront damage that Astrea took, which he's still not recovering from, by the way. No probes have been made, despite having that natural Nexus still at 23. There we go, finally again, but it's because he's actually trying to set up an attack potential, use that army advantage. Is he actually going to be able to get something here?
I'd probably recall this.
I would
Even though there's so many Phoenixes.
Isn't it too late now?
It actually takes a little while. One Phoenix takes a long time. Now it's definitely too late. He does at least get the revelation on all of them. But I think Astrea is about to make a very, very committed attack. And Hellraiser actually has no idea that this is happening at all. I think this can end the game, man. The power of these 5 Phoenixes combined with 6 or 7 Stalkers. What is Hellraiser going to do? He's going to pull probes. He's 40 probes against 27, but it's only 14 army supply against 34. Wow.
There's going to be so many. There's like half the army taken out of the equation with these Phoenix. 3 of them instantly lifted and shot down. A single shield battery to help out. Probes, of course, have to be pulled. Now, the Stalkers actually live, surprisingly, but that's only the start here. Probes still not mining, still going to lose their lives.
I mean, if Blink finishes up, Hellraiser obviously has a shot, and I kind of like how many probes he's pulling. He realizes how seriously he has to take this. He knows that Astrea is very committed. There's a lot of energy still on these Phoenixes, though, but the longer you wait, I feel like Astrea should have never waited. I think he should have just kept going, kept fighting. The longer he waits, the closer Blink is going to be down to finishing up, and the worse these Phoenix become as well. I think this is it for Astrea. You need to crush him here. And I think he's doing it.
I mean, he's getting a lot of probes, right? So he's actually even, and then some, the worker count. Wow. Plus, his Phoenix are still alive. Plus, he is winning that ground war. And Hellraiser, and almost half the supply, has to tap out. That is Astrea taking the 2-1. Really nicely done there. I mean, I was favoring him a little bit with his previous PvP, but that first game had me worried. Yep. Nah, man, he's still got it. His PvP is on fire lately.
He's making NA proud. That was a very wild final game, man. A lot of things to talk about, like the Adepts at first. The first Oracle felt like it could have done a lot more, and I feel like trying to save the first Oracle doesn't make sense because it's going to get chased down anyway, but it was really cool. I think we saw a lot of very good stuff, but for now, let's hear from the man with the best name in StarCraft 2 after he just won this group.
Thanks, Kev. I'm here with Max Angel himself. Man, congratulations. You're very relieved, I can tell. On the main stage, you pulled it out. How are you feeling right now about your performance?
I'm really happy. It's my first time on the main stage and also my first time in the group stage 3, so I think it means a lot for me.
Awesome. It's great to talk to the crew backstage about your performance. They often comment on your creative strategies. We saw the surprise there in Game 3 as well. Clearly, Hellraiser was not prepared for your Phoenixes. Are we going to be seeing a lot of creative strategies from you this weekend?
It depends on my opponent, but maybe.
Fantastic, man. Well, we're looking forward to seeing more from you this weekend. Congratulations on your first victory. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause for Astrea. Congrats. We're back to you, Kalaris.
That's right, sleuth detective Max Angel himself takes the 2-1 victory over Hellraiser. It made me eat my words, as I expected Hellraiser to be the favorite in this matchup, but Astrea comes out swinging. Nathanius, you gotta be a bit happy. You gotta be a bit happy.
I'm not sure I feel entirely safe shouting USA, but I do want to do it for my boy Max Angel, who has been the most fun player, one of the most fun players to commentate in Challenger this year. Just, like I said, a standout player who's been improving, and he's had some really good close matches against some of the top titans of NA.
Yeah.
But as much as we talk about how, the skill difference between like EU and NA, the top players are still top players. And it's still going to be hard for players like Astrea to be able to beat those players. But really good to see him go toe-to-toe with the upper mid-range of the European Protoss. And I like seeing that because I feel like he has the potential to go the distance until he hits one of those big dogs. Because he, so far, it was a very scrappy series, very fun to watch.
I think it's very impressive, like what Astrea just did, because Hellraiser is one of those guys that is still somewhat underrated. He's had some decent runs in some WCS tournaments before, so that means like if he's able to beat him, maybe Astrea is capable of one of these runs himself, already being group stage 3 here. This is massive, so hey, I'm excited for the rest of his matches because he was very impressive there.
No, big indeed. It felt to me like Hellraiser was kind of dictating the pace of some of this series for a little bit of it, of putting on pressure with the Adepts, kind of keeping Astrea on the back foot a little bit. But Astrea constantly, with great critical analysis of the situation, was able to deal with it. So really cool stuff by him. Todd, you do have one of the series going on at the moment. We actually had tons of games going on whilst this was happening.
Yes.
Wow, that's loud.
That's the sound of a lot of Marines shooting.
Yeah, the winner's match of that group, remember Thermal earlier beat Stefano, Jon Snow beat Denver, so the two French Zergs, they're playing in the low bracket match, but here in the winner's match, Thermal so far was up 1-0. I thought he was gonna close the second game out like way earlier. He was ahead in supply, but then Jon Snow got a whole bunch of Mutalisks out and kind of came back in this game, and now we find ourselves in the stage of the game where he has some almighty Broodlords. And apparently North America is not just good in PvP, they can also play some very good ZVT.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird, right? On that map, that choke point can kind of work in your advantage a little bit, too, if you try to push the Broodlords too hard.
Is he just going to win here?
What's he got coming out? Maybe. There's not a lot of anti-air. He's got some Liberators building. That's not going to really help with the Broodlords.
He's going to create some massive chaos. I guess we can just check out like this game for a little bit, because it's not like there isn't stuff happening. Sometimes we go into those laptop games and there's nothing happening. Now there's literally Broodlords sieging on one side, pushing the bio away towards the main base, but then he flies in another base with the Mutas.
When the Broodlords are outside your base, the game is going to end one way or the other regardless. But once you get on the production of the Terran, that's always going to be the weakest point for them. He had a lot of upgrades that were finishing up, like Liberator range and +1 ship just finished during this, but where are the Corruptors? Just don't let the Liberators are tickling the Broodlords to death. Just don't let them tickle you to death, and you should be okay. There we go.
There was only the Mutas, right? They're coming in now, so pushing out. But they have a lot of AoE damage, so if they stay...
Well, the mines get weird. He has Corruptors. They're coming out.
Are they?
But yeah, they're just a little bit... It's got to get across the whole entire map. But Liberators will also take...
Vikings.
They're going to take a while to kill all of those.
Let us out.
I don't even know what's happening anymore. Once you get on the production...
It's a mad game. Like this. I really thought that Utah was going to be able to win in the mid game, but Jon Snow somehow hang in there. He got a bunch of Mutas out, then he defended very convincingly. Yeah. Look at the Crit Spray. Like even the Crit Spray is not that far.
And the only thing he can really do here, like outside of these small counters, is he just has to go with everything all at once. But by the time it took him to get a round or two of Vikings out, the Corruptors are going to be making their way across the map. And
come on, hype it.
Even if he's able to kill all of these Broodlords, he still has to deal with the fact that he lost a lot of destruction. He's got economy. I don't even know. I don't actually know. I don't know, Todd. The Corruptors took too long to get there. It's a big map.
Guys, when you see some of these fights,
Don't do it.
Do you get a little tickle, like where you?
tinge?
Yeah.
Well,
You're thinking, I
like
really
that,
want to
though.
hype. the hell out of
Admittedly,
this fight.
if it was like a full screen and I was able to see it a little bit
Oh my God,
better,
he's
I
got
would
Burrowed
have.
Banes,
I would have launched in, Todd. I would have gone full hog. All right.
I really like the way that he pulled everything back to the edge of his main base, though. Like, he didn't want to engage the Broodlords at all until he had the round of Vikings come out. He put himself in the best possible chance for it. He took a lot of hit on his infrastructure, but he has so many bases that are still secured. As long as the economy is there, he has a Ghost Academy, right? I think so. He should be able to. He should be able to transition out of something else if
Let
he
me
wants
see.
to. Yeah, crazy game. Yeah, he does.
There you go.
Yeah. And he finished
Wow.
Liberation during
Who's
it.
winning?
Cool.
Like, I can't
Good
even
games
tell.
happening. Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know now if this is gonna end anytime.
I think with the number, when I see the number of command centers on the map, I want to just say Euthermal. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a very. I mean, he's trying to do burrowed Baneling bombs, and he has no bank. So.
Yeah, once you lose that many Broodlords, it's very hard to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's the hard part when you push them all the way across the map like that. Like, they're either going to kill everything or they're going to die with no support. But.
All right, we're coming out, boys. It's done. Thank you very much for that update and Broodlords dying. And that is going to be that. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Next up, we're actually going to have Silky going up. What's up, Nathaniel?
There's just a big engagement happening on my screen now. A bunch of Banelings are crashing into Immortals and Stalkers. The Immortals have somewhat survived, but they're left behind the rest of the army. And, thankfully, I just found one of the other casters to steal their observing off of. But big push stopped.
All right,
sort of.
It's over. We're going to a break. It's going to be Silky versus Shadone going on in the next match. Of course, we have one more series, basically, and all of these groups to figure out who is going to be moving on into the next group stage and who's going to be falling down into the lower bracket. We shall see you right after this for more WCS.